Derby is a city and unitary authority area in the East Midlands region of England. It lies upon the banks of the River Derwent and is located in the south of the ceremonial county of Derbyshire, of which it was traditionally the county town. In the 2011 census, the city had a population of 248,700. As home to Looms Mill, the first factory in the world, Derby is considered a birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. With the arrival of the railways in the 19th century, and due to its strategic central location, the city grew to become a foremost centre of the British rail industry. Today, Derby is an internationally renowned centre for advanced transport manufacturing, home to the World Euro unregistered trademark's second-largest aero-engine manufacturer, Rolls-Royce, and Derby Litchurch Lane Works the UK's only remaining train manufacturer. The Toyota Manufacturing UK's automobile headquarters is found just south of the city at Burnaston. History. Origins. The Roman camp of Derventio was probably at Little Chester Green. The site of the old Roman fort is at Chester Green. Later the town was one of the 5 boroughs of the Danelaw. Ďar-bi 1/2, recorded in Anglo-Saxon as DAR-bi village of the deer. This popular belief is asserted by Tim Lambert, who states, the name Derby is derived from the Danish words DAR-bi meaning deer settlement without reference or proof. However, some assert that it is a corruption of the original Roman name Derventio. The proven origin of the name Derby would seem to be elusive. The name could also be linked with the river which flows through it, the Derwent, in that it could be a shortened version of Derwent-bi, meaning Derwent settlement. The name Derwent is Celtic and means a valley thick with oaks. The town name appears, nevertheless, as Derby or Derby on early modern maps, such as that of Speed. Modern research into the history and archaeology of Derby has provided evidence that the Vikings and Anglo-Saxons probably coexisted, occupying 2 areas of land surrounded by water. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle says that Derby is divided by water. These areas of land were known as Nora 3/4 Wara 3/4 Ig and Ďar-bi, and were at the Irongate side of Derby. 16th century Euro 18th century, during the Civil War of 1642 Euro 1646, Derby was garrisoned by parliamentary troops commanded by Sir John Gell, 1st Baronet, who was appointed governor of Derby in 1643. These troops took part in the defence of nearby Nottingham, the siege of Lichfield, the Battle of Hopton Heath and many other engagements in Nottinghamshire, Staffordshire and Cheshire, as well as successfully defending Derbyshire against royalist armies. 100 years later, Bonnie Prince Charlie set up camp at Derby on December 4, 1745, whilst on his way south to seize the British crown. The prince called at the George Inn on Irongate, where the Duke of Devonshire had set up his headquarters, and demanded billets for his 9,000 troops. He stayed at Exeter House, Exeter Street, where he held his council of war. A replica of the room is on display at Derby Museum in the city centre. He had received misleading information about an army coming to meet him south of Derby. Although he wished to continue with his quest, he was overruled by his fellow officers. He abandoned his invasion at Swarkstone Bridge on the River Trent just a few miles south of Derby. As a testament to his belief in his cause, the Prince who on the march from Scotland had walked at the front of the column made the return journey on horseback at the rear of the bedraggled and tired army. Industrial Revolution. Derby and Derbyshire were centres of Britain's Industrial Revolution. In 1717, Derby was the site of the first water-powered silk mill in Britain, built by John Loom and George Soracold, after Loom had reputedly stolen the secrets of silk throwing from Piedmont in Italy. In 1759, Jedediah Strutt patented and built a machine called the Derby rib attachment that revolutionized the manufacture of hose. This attachment was used on the Reverend Lee's framework knitting machine. It was placed in front of a Euro, and worked in unison with a Euro Lee's frame, to produce ribbed hose. The partners were Jedediah Strutt, William Woollett. The patent was obtained in January 1759. After 3 years, Bloodworth and Stafford were paid off, and Samuel Need a hosier of Nottingham joined the partnership. The firm was known as Need, Strutt and Woollett. The patent expired in 1773, though the partnership continued until 1781 when Need died. Messrs. Wright, the bankers of Nottingham, recommended that Richard Arkwright apply to Strutt and Need for finance for his cotton spinning mill. The first mill opened in Nottingham in 1770 and was driven by horses. In 1771 Richard Arkwright, Samuel Need and Jedediah Strutt built the world's first commercially successful water-powered cotton spinning mill at Cromford, Derbyshire, developing a form of power that was to be a catalyst for the Industrial Revolution. This was followed in Derbyshire by Jedediah Strutt's cotton spinning mills at Belper. They were, South Mill, the first, 1775. North Mill, 1784, which was destroyed by fire on January 12, 1803 and then rebuilt. It started work again at the end of 1804. West Mill, 1792, commenced working 1796. Reeling Mill, 1897. Round Mill, which took 10 years to build, from 1803 to 1813, and commenced working in 1816. And Milford Mills, 1778. The Belper and Milford Mills were not built in partnership with Arkwright. These mills were all Strutt-owned and financed. Other famous 18th-century figures with connections to Derby include the painter Joseph Wright, known as Wright of Derby, who was famous for his revolutionary use of light in his paintings and was an associate of the Royal Academy. And John Whitehurst, a famous clockmaker and philosopher. Erasmus Darwin, doctor, scientist, philosopher and grandfather of Charles Darwin, whose practice was based in Lichfield, Staffordshire, was a frequent visitor to Derby, having founded the Derby Philosophical Society. The beginning of the next century saw Derby emerging as an engineering centre with manufacturers such as James Fox, who exported machine tools to Russia. In 1840, the North Midland Railway set up its works in Derby and, when it merged with the Midland Counties Railway and the Birmingham and Derby Junction Railway, to form the Midland Railway, Derby became its headquarters. The connection with the railway encouraged others, notably Andrew Handyside, Charles Fox and his son Francis Fox. Derby was one of the boroughs reformed by the Municipal Corporations Act 1835, and it became a county borough with the Local Government Act 1888. The borough expanded in 1877 to include Little Chester and Litchurch, and then in 1890 to include New Normanton and Rowditch. The borough did not increase substantially again until 1968, when under a recommendation of the Local Government Boundary Commission it was expanded into large parts of the rural district of Belper, Repton and South East Derbyshire. This vastly increased Derby's population from 132,408 in the 1961 census to 219,578 in the 1971 census. Despite being one of the areas of Britain furthest from the sea, Derby holds a special place in the history of marine safety. It was as MP for Derby that Samuel Plimsoll introduced his bills for a Plimsoll line. This failed on first introduction, but was successful in 1876 and contributed to Plimsoll's re-election as an MP. 20th century to present day, an industrial boom began in Derby when Rolls-Royce opened a car and aircraft factory in the town in 1907. In 1923, the Midland Railway became part of the London, Midland and Scottish Railway with headquarters in London. However, Derby remained a major rail manufacturing centre, second only to Crewe and Wolverton. Moreover, it remained a design and development centre, and in the 30s, on the direction of Lord Stamp, the LMS Scientific Research Laboratory was opened on London Road. In World War I, Derby was targeted by German Zeppelin air bombers, who killed 5 people in a 1916 raid on the town. All Saints' Church was designated as a cathedral in 1927, signalling that the town was ready for city status. Slum clearance in the 1920s and 1930s saw the central area of Derby become less heavily populated as families were rehoused on new council estates in the suburbs, where houses for private sale were also constructed. Rehousing, council house building and private housing developments continued on a large scale for some 30 years after the end of World War II in 1945. Production and repair work continued at the railway works. In December 1947 the Locomotive Works unveiled Britain's first mainline passenger diesel-electric locomotive, a Euro No. 10,000. In 1958 production switched over to diesel locomotives completely. Meanwhile the Carriage and Wagon Works were building the first of the diesel multiple units which were to take over many of the services. In 1964 the British Rail Research Division opened to study all aspects of railway engineering from first principles. Its first success was in drastically improving the reliability and speed of goods trains, work which led to the development of the advanced passenger train. Derby gained a high profile in sport following the appointment of Brian Clough as manager of Derby County FC. In 1967, promotion to the Football League First Division was achieved in 1969, and County were champions of the English League 3 years later. Following the Clough's resignation in 1973, his successor Dave Mackay guided Derby County to another league title in 1975, but this remains to date the club's last major trophy. Relegation followed in 1980 and top-flight status was not regained until 1987, since then Derby have spent a total of 11 seasons in the top flight. The club moved from its century-old baseball ground in 1997 to the new Pride Park Stadium. Derby was awarded city status on June 7, 1977 by Queen Elizabeth II to mark the 25th anniversary of her ascension to the throne. The Queen presented the Charter Scroll, or letters patent in person on July 28, 1977 on the steps of the Council House to the then Mayor Councillor Geoffrey Tillett. Until then, Derby had been one of the few towns in England with a cathedral but not city status. Derby holds an important position in the history of the Labour movement, because it was one of 2 seats gained by the recently formed Labour Representation Committee at the 1900 general election. The MP was Richard Bell, General Secretary of the Railway Servants' Union. Bell was succeeded in 1910 by Jimmy Thomas and he in turn by the distinguished polymath and Nobel laureate Philip Noel Baker in 1936. Despite its strategic industries, Derby suffered comparatively little damage in both world wars. This may in part have been due to the jamming against the German radio beam navigation systems were built, mainly south of the town, for example out in fields near Formark. Derby has also become a significant cultural centre for the deaf community in the British. Many deaf people moved to Derby because of his strong sign language using community. It is estimated that the deaf population in Derby is at least 3 times higher than the national average, and that only London has a larger deaf population. The Royal School for the Deaf on Ashburn Road provides education in British Sign Language and English. Government, local government. By traditional definitions, Derby is the county town of Derbyshire, although Derbyshire's administrative centre has in recent years been Matlock. On April 1, 1997 Derby City Council became again a unitary authority, with the rest of Derbyshire administered from Matlock. On July 7, 2014, Derby's first ever youth mayor was elected. UK Parliament. Derby was a single United Kingdom parliamentary constituency represented by 2 members of Parliament until 1950, when it was divided into the single-member constituencies of Derby North and Derby South. National headquarters. The Rail Accident Investigation Branch has its headquarters in the Wharf, a facility in Derby. RAIB is one of its 2 operational centres in Derby. Geography. Derby is split into 17 wards. Nearby settlements. Industry. Derby's 2 biggest employers, Rolls-Royce plc and the Toyota Motor Corporation, are engaged in engineering manufacturing. Other companies of note include railway systems engineering firm Bombardier Transportation, who manufacture railway rolling stock at the Derby Carriage and Wagon Works, Hero TSC, who deal with much of Sky's telephone support, and Alstom, who manufacture large power plant boilers and heat exchangers. Derby was for many years a railway centre, being the former headquarters of the Midland Railway, with both British Rail workshops and research facilities in the town. Although much less important than in years gone by, limited train manufacture still continues in Derby, and Derby railway station retains an important position in the railway network. The city is favoured as a site for a national railway centre. From 1922 Sinn Féin Lane was the home of the 62-acre site of International Combustion, originally manufacturers of machinery for the automatic delivery of pulverized fuel to furnaces and boilers, and later producing steam-generating boilers for use in electrical generating plants such as Euston power stations. In the 1990s the firm was bought by Rolls-Royce plc and then sold on again to ABB Group. Derby was the home of Core Design, who developed the world-famous video game Tomb Raider. When Derby's Inner Ring Road was completed in 2010, a section of it was named Lara Croft Way after the game's heroine Lara Croft. One of Derby's longest established businesses is Royal Crown Derby, which has been producing porcelain since the 1750s. Landmarks: Derby Cathedral Tower is 212 feet tall to the tip of the pinnacles. This has been home to a pair of breeding peregrine falcons since 2006. 3 webcams monitor the falcons here. Derby Jail is a visitor attraction based in the dungeons of the Derbyshire County Jail which dates back to 1756. Derby Industrial Museum is situated in Derby Silk Mill and shows the industrial heritage and technological achievement of Derby, including Rolls-Royce aero engines, railways, mining, quarrying and foundries. Currently closed due to council cuts. The Silk Mill stands at the southern end of the 24 km stretch of the River Derwent, designated a World Heritage Site in 2001. Pickford's House Museum was built by architect Joseph Pickford in 1770. It was his home and business headquarters. Derby Museum and Art Gallery shows paintings by Joseph Wright, as well as fine Royal Crown Derby porcelain, natural history, local regiments and archaeology. Pickford also designed St Helens House in King Street. The skyline of the inner city changed in 1968 when the Inner Ring Road with its 2 new crossings of the River Derwent was built. The route of the Ring Road went through the St Eichmond's Church and its Georgian churchyard, the only Georgian square in Derby. Both were demolished to make way for the road, a move still criticised today. Thus the editor of the second edition of Pevsner for Derbyshire wrote, "The character and cohesion of the centre has been completely altered by the replacement of a large number of C18 houses in the centre by a multi-lane road. As a traffic scheme this road is said to be a triumph. As townscape it is a disaster." Places of interest: Cathedral Quarter, Darley Abbey, Derby Arboretum, Derby Canal, Derby Cathedral, Derby Museum and Art Gallery, Derby Industrial Museum, St Mary's Church, Derby, Derby Friargate Station, Markyate and Park Light Railway, a heritage railway, Pride Park Stadium and its predecessor the baseball ground, River Derwent, St Helens House, Derby, Derby Catacombs, Inchew Shopping Centre, St Benedict Catholic School and Performing Arts College Secondary School, Royal Crown Derby Museum and Factory Tour. Transport, roads. The city has extensive transport links with other areas of the country. The M1 motorway passes about 10 miles to the east of the city, linking Derby southwards to the London area and northwards to Sheffield and Leeds. Other major roads passing through or near Derby include the A6, A38, A50, A52 and A61. On March 16, 2011, Mershon Way, the final section of the city's Inner Ring Road, was opened to traffic. This new section connects Burton Road with Uttoxeter New Road, and crosses Abbey Street. Abbey Street is the only road between the two ends from which Mershon Way can be accessed. Bold Lane Car Park in Derby has been cited as one of the 10 most secure places in the world. Railways. Derby has been served by railways since 1840 with the opening of the North Midland Railway to Leeds, with a route to London via Rugby provided by the Birmingham and Derby Junction Railway. At the same time, a route to Nottingham and Leicester was opened by the Midland Counties Railway. In 1844, these 3 companies merged to form the Midland Railway, who subsequently opened a direct route to London St Pancras Station. The present-day station, Derby Midland, is on the same site as 1840 and the original platform visibly forms the substructure of the modern Platform 1. The Midland Railway frontage was replaced in 1985, and during 2008 and 2009 the 1950s concrete platform canopies were replaced with steel and glass structures. Derby Station is operated by East Midlands trains and the city is served by expresses to London, the North East and South West, provided by East Midlands trains and cross-country. There also remain local stations at Partree and Spondon, although services are limited, especially at the former. The Great Northern Railway's Derbyshire and North Staffordshire extension formerly ran through Derby Friargate Station, from Colwick and Nottingham to Egginton Junction. After closure, part of the route west of Derby was used by British Rail as a test track. Today, the track bed either side of Derby is blocked only by road development and has been converted to a Sustrans cycle track. The ornate cast-iron bridge by Andrew Handyside across Friargate is still in place, as is his bridge over the river. Railway engineering. As a consequence of the Midland Railway basing their headquarters in Derby, along with their locomotive and carriage and wagon works, the railways had been a major influence on the development of the town during the Victorian period. However, as described above, during the 20th century, railway manufacturing developed elsewhere, while in Derby the emphasis shifted to other industries. Even though it had pioneered the introduction of diesel locomotives, new production finished in 1966. Repair work gradually diminished until, finally the locomotive works closed, the land being redeveloped as Pride Park. The only buildings remaining are those visible from Platform 6 of the station. The carriage and wagon works continues to build trains under Bombardier Transportation. The Railway Technical Centre continues to house railway businesses, including the headquarters of Delta Rail Group, formerly the British Rail Research Division. East Midlands Airport is situated about 15 miles from Derby city centre. Its proximity to Derby, the fact that the airport is in Leicestershire, and the traditional rivalry between the three cities, meant that there was controversy concerning the airport's decision to prefix its name with Nottingham in 2004. In 2006, Nottingham East Midlands Airport reverted to its previous name. The airport is served by budget airlines, including Ryanair and Jet2, with services to domestic and European destinations. Derby Airfield, located approximately 7 miles southwest of the city centre, has grass runways targeted at general aviation. Bus and coach. Derby's former bus station was an Art Deco designed by borough architect C. H. Arslin. Built in 1933, it was closed in 2005 and later demolished, despite the protests of environmentalists and conservationists. The unique cafe building is planned to be rebuilt at Critch Tramway Museum. A new bus station has been built on the site as part of the Riverlights development, which was opened on Sunday 28 March 2010. Since the closure of the old bus station, services have been using temporary stops on streets around the Mall Edge area. Most services in Derby now terminate at the bus station. The new bus station is modern, with 29 bays, 5 for coaches and 24 for general bus services. First, the concourse area where passengers board and alight was completed. The remainder of the building has been developed as a Holiday Inn and a Hilton Hotel, as well as a convenience store which opened in late 2010. Local bus services in and around Derby are run by a number of companies, but principally Trent Barton and River Midlands. The city is on National Express's London to Manchester and Yorkshire to the southwest routes. A whole list of local bus routes can be viewed on the list of bus routes in Derby page. Between 1932 and 1967, Derby Corporation operated the Derby trolley bus system. The last trolley bus ran on September 9, 1967. Several Derby vehicles have been preserved at Sandtoft and the East Anglia Transport Museum. Culture, entertainment and sport, music. The annual open-air concert at Darley Park is one of the biggest free concerts of its kind. It is one of many performances given throughout the year by Sinfonia Viva, a professional chamber orchestra based in Derby. The Derby Jazz Group caters for the jazz interest in the city and is regarded as one of the UK's leading live jazz organisations. In rock music, the blues singer-songwriter Kevin Coyne comes from Derby, as does the three-piece rock band Lost Alone, who are signed to Warner Brothers Records. The ska punk band Lightyear also hail from the city, naming their second album Chris Gentleman's Hairdresser and Railway Bookshop after a shop in McLean's Street. The pop band White Town is from Derby, and their video Your Woman features many scenes from the city centre. One of Derby's most successful bands is Anti-Pasty, whose debut 1981 album The Last Call reached the top 40 in the UK album charts. The band are planning a reunion tour for 2012. A full-scale programme of orchestral and other concerts is presented at the Assembly Rooms. A thriving amateur classical music scene includes two choral societies, Derby Bar Choir and Derby Choral Union, smaller choirs, including the Derwent Singers and Sitwell Singers, and Derby Concert Orchestra. Derby Chamber Music presents an annual series of chamber music concerts at Derby University's Multifaith Centre. A series of organ recitals is presented every summer at Derby Cathedral, featuring leading international performers. An active folk music scene includes the annual Derby Folk Festival. Music venues in the city include the Assembly Rooms, the venue on Abbey Street, Ryan's Bar in the St. Peter's Quarter and the Victoria Inn. The Voice Box, a converted former industrial building near the centre of Derby, is a performance, teaching and rehearsal venue concerned with a wide range of vocal and choral music. Theatre and Arts, Derby Playhouse regularly received acclaim in the national press for its productions, particularly for its staging of shows by Stephen Sondheim. After a lengthy period of financial uncertainty, the theatre closed in February 2008. It was resurrected in September of that year after a new financing package was put together but forced to close again just 2 months later because of further financial problems. The lease was later bought by Derby University and the building was renamed Derby Theatre. Along with the Assembly Rooms and Guildhall Theatre, it was operated by Derby Live, the cultural arm of Derby City Council. In 2012 Derby University took over as sole operator of Derby Theatre. Sarah Brigham was appointed artistic director, and has been in post since January 2013. Quad is a centre for art and film which opened on in 2008. The building has 2 cinema screens showing independent and mainstream cinema, 2 gallery spaces housing contemporary visual arts, a digital studio, participation spaces, digital editing suites, artist studio and the BFI Mediathek. Quad organises the Format International Photography Festival, the largest photography festival in the UK, held every 2 years in Derby. The Robert Ludlam Theatre is a 270-seat venue with a programme of entertainment including dance, drama, art, music, theatre in the round, comedy, films, family entertainment, rock and pop events, workshops and provides a home for many of Derbyshire's amateur production groups. The critically acclaimed theatre company Odd Socks is based in Derby and stages a number of productions in the city and surrounding area. Among Derby's many amateur theatre groups, Derby Shakespeare Theatre Company has received critical acclaim for its often innovative productions, and is regularly invited to appear at the Monarch Theatre in Cornwall. Derby Festa Copyright is a spectacular weekend street arts festival held every September. John Dexter the theatre director and the actor Alan Bates were from Derby. Sport. Derby is home to several sports clubs. Derby County, the city's football team, were FA Cup winners in 1946, Football League champions in 1972 and again in 1975. They are members of the Football League Championship. They have played at Pride Park Stadium since 1997, having been previously based at the Baseball Ground, a stadium originally built in 1890 to house Derby's short-lived baseball team. Derby County moved there in 1895 after the baseball team folded. Former Derby County managers include Brian Clough, Arthur Cox, Jim Smith, John Gregory and George Burley. Former players include Colin Todd, Roy McFarland, Dave Mackay, Peter Shilton, Dean Saunders, Craig Short, Marco Gabbiadini, Horatio Carboneri, Steve Bloomer and Tom Huddlestone. The club's most recent spell as a top division club ended in May 2008 after just one season, during which the club won just 1 out of 38 league games and finished with just 11 points, the lowest in the history of the Premier League. There are 3 senior non-league football clubs based in the city. Micklover Sports play at Station Road, Micklover and are members of the EVO Stick Northern Premier League. Graham Street. Prims and Borewash Victoria are both members of the East Midlands Counties League and play on adjacent grounds at the Asterdale Complex in Spondon. Derbyshire County Cricket Club are based at the county ground in Derby and play almost all home matches there, although matches at Chesterfield were reintroduced in 2006. One of the designated first-class county sides, they have won the county championship once, in 1936. Derby has clubs in both codes of rugby. In rugby union, Derby RFC play in Midlands Division 1 East at their Haslams Lane ground. Rugby league team Derby City RLFC were formed in 1990 and compete in the Midlands Premier Division of the National Rugby League Conference. From 2008 they are ground sharing with Derby RFC at Haslams Lane. The city is represented in the English Basketball League Division 1 by Derby Trailblazers, who play at the Moorways Sports Centre. They were formed in 2002 following the demise of British Basketball League side Derby Storm. Local industrialist Francis Lay introduced baseball to the town in the late 19th century, and built a stadium near the town centre. The attempt to establish baseball in Derby was unsuccessful, but the stadium survived for some 100 years afterwards as the home of Derby County Football Club. It was demolished in 2003, 6 years after counties moved to Pride Park. Professional golfer Melissa Reid was born in Derby in 1987. She plays on the Ladies European Tour, and was a member of the victorious European team in the 2011 Solheim Cup. Arthur Cayley, the marathon runner and Olympian, was born in Derbyshire in 1921 and has lived his whole life in Derby. In Rome in 1960 he broke the English Olympic record, recording a time of 2 hours 27 minutes. Recreation. Derby Arboretum was the first public park in the country and is thought to have been one of the inspirations for Central Park in New York. Although it suffered from neglect in the 1990s, it has been renovated. Markeaton Park is Derby's most used leisure facility. It is the venue for the City Council's annual Guy Fawkes Night firework display and contains its own light railway. Other major parks in the city include Allistory Park, Darley Park, Chaddesden Park, Elvaston Park, Normanton Park and Osmaston Park. Derby has a number of public parks, many Victorian in origin. It is also believed to be one of the country's highest, if not the highest, ranking cities for parkland per capita. Darley and Derwent parks lie immediately north of the city centre and are home to owls, kingfishers and other wildlife. Derby Rowing Club and Derwent Rowing Club are located on the banks of the river. There is also a riverside walk and cycle path from Darley Park south to 2 other parks. West of the city centre is Markeaton Park, while to the north is Allistory Park and its lake. Derby has the first public recreational park in the country to have an arboretum, which lies to the south of the city centre. The arboretum was set up by the philanthropic landowner and industrialist Joseph Strutt in 1840. The Arboretum's website states that the Arboretum's design was the inspiration for the vision of great urban parks in the United States, notably Central Park and New York City. There are 4 museums, Derby Museum and Art Gallery, Pickford's House Museum, the Silk Mill and the Royal Crown Derby Museum. Shopping and nightlife. Shopping in central Derby is divided into 3 main areas. These are the Cathedral Quarter, Derby, the St. Peter's Quarter and Inchew Shopping Centre. The Cathedral Quarter was Derby's first BID, and includes a large range of shops, boutiques, coffee shops and restaurants. It is focused around the cathedral and the area around Irongate and Sadlergate. It includes the marketplace, the Guildhall and Assembly Rooms along with the City Museum and the Silk Mill Industrial Museum. The St. Peter's Quarter is Derby's second business improvement district brought into effect in the summer of 2011. Its boundary with the Cathedral Quarter follows Victoria Street, the ancient course of Markeaton Brook. The quarter boasts a diverse range of retail shops, many of them, in Green Lane, Bobbington Lane, Osmaston Road and elsewhere, independent traders. St. Peter's Street, London Road and East Street also includes a large choice of national retailers along with pubs, restaurants, banks and offices. The quarter includes the historic St. Peter's Church and, on St. Peter's Churchyard, the ancient Derby School building. Nearby also is the old courthouse and several other notable buildings. At the eastern end of the quarter is the bus station along with the Hilton Hotel and Holiday Inn, part of the prestigious River development on the banks of the Derwent. Derby is the city's main indoor shopping centre. It opened in 2007 as the Westfield Centre after extension work costing £340 a million, subsequently being sold to Inchu in March 2014. It contains a food court and a 12-screen cinema which was opened in May 2008. The development was controversial and local opponents accuse it of drawing trade away from the older parts of the city centre where independent shops are located. Some of these experienced a downturn in trade and some have ceased trading since the development opened, leading to the Lanes project which eventually became the second BID and the formation of St. Peter's Quarter. In the centre itself, a combination of high rents and rising rates have made things difficult for smaller traders. The Friargate area contains clubs and bars, making it the centre of Derby's nightlife, although it has seen a steady decline in recent years, like many cities, due to the current economic climate. Derby is also well provided with pubs and is renowned for its large amount of real ale outlets. The Kingsway Retail Park is located just outside of the main city, off the A38 and has a TK Maxx, Sainsbury's, Harfords, M&S Food, Homebase, Argos and other retailers. There are new food outlets scheduled to open in 2013. The Wyvernway Retail Park is located just off the A52, by the Pride Park Business Park. Stores include Sainsbury's, Maplin, McDonald's, Mothercare and KFC. The Meteor Centre contains a selection of retailers including Morrisons, PC World, and McDonald's. Education. Like most of the UK, Derby operates a non-selective primary and secondary education system with no middle schools. Pupils attend infant and junior school before moving on to a secondary school. Many of the secondary schools have sixth forms, allowing pupils to optionally take A-levels after the end of compulsory education. For those who want to stay in education but leave school, the large Derby College provides post-16 courses for school leavers, apprentices and employer-related training. It has two main campuses, the Joseph Wright Centre in the centre of Derby, where its A-level courses are based, and the historical Derby Roundhouse, which is the college's vocational training hub, providing a centre for apprenticeships such as engineering, catering and hair and beauty. The college also works in partnership with schools across the county to provide vocational training opportunities for students aged 14 upwards. Training for companies is undertaken through its corporate college. Inside the state sector, there are 14 secondary schools. These are Bimrose School, Shallaston Academy, Da Vinci Community School, Derby Muir Community Sport College Trust, Kingsmead, Leesbrook Community Sports College, Litlover Community School, Merrill Academy, Murray Park Community School, Noel Baker Community School and Language College, St. Benedict Catholic Voluntary Academy, Sinfeen Community School, West Park School, Woodlands School. Outside the state sector, there are two fee-paying independent schools. Derby Grammar School was founded in 1994 and was for boys only, until 2007, when they accepted girls into the sixth form for the first time. They aim to continue the work and traditions of the former Derby School, which closed in 1989, one of the oldest schools in England. Derby High School is for girls only at secondary level and for boys at primary level. Derby has special needs establishments including Ivy House School located at the Derby Muir Community Sports College and the Lighthouse, which is a respite facility for children and parents. The University of Derby has its main campus on Cudleston Road. There is another campus in North Derbyshire at Buxton. In 2003 the University of Nottingham opened a graduate entry medical school based at Royal Derby Hospital. The university also has its School of Nursing and Midwifery located there, having moved from its former home at London Road Community Hospital in mid-2012. Media. The Derby Telegraph is the city's daily newspaper. Crime writer Richard Cox set his first book around his own experience as a Derby Telegraph reporter in the 1970s. In addition, a free newspaper, The Telegraph Light, is delivered to households weekly. The Derby Trader, another free weekly newspaper, is no longer in print. A local edition of the Daily National free sheet Metro is distributed in the city centre every morning, although this only has a very small amount of local content. BBC Radio Derby, the BBC's local station for Derbyshire and East Staffordshire, is based on St Helens Street in the city and offers local, national and international news, features, music and sports commentaries. It is available on 104.5 fathoms and 11:16 AM, on 95.3 fathoms in North and Mid Derbyshire and on 96.0 fathoms in the Buxton area, as well as being streamed on the internet. The BBC in Derby have their own local website for the area which provides news, travel and weather information, as well as other features. Since July 2007, the BBC has managed Big Screen Derby in the marketplace in conjunction with Derby City Council and the University of Derby, as part of the BBC Big Screen project. Capital East Midlands is the biggest commercial radio station in the city, broadcasting to Derby on 102.8 fathoms from the transmitter at Drumhill, just outside the city. It broadcasts a contemporary hit radio format, with top 40 chart hits aimed at the city's under-35s. City emblem: Derby's emblem is the Derby Ram, about which there is a folk song entitled The Derby Ram. It is found in a number of places, most notably serving as the nickname of Derby County FC. The logo of the City Council services is a stylised ram, while a ram provided by the Duke of Devonshire is the mascot of the Mercian Regiment, formerly the Worcestershire and Sherwood Foresters Regiment, deriving from the 95th Regiment of Foot. Notable people: Alan Bates, actor; Frida Beattie, social worker, writer and Geelongmer; Ronald Binge, composer; David Brailsford, cycling administrator; Rufus Brevitt, footballer; Maxwell Caulfield, actor; Henry Cavendish, scientist; William John Coffey, artist and sculptor; Daniel Parker Coke, barrister and Member of Parliament; Des Coleman, actor and presenter; Kevin Coyne, singer-songwriter; Erasmus Darwin, physician and philosopher; John Dexter, theatre director; George Benjamin Dodwell, Derby-born merchant, who founded the British Asian trading company Dodwell and Company; Ralph Downes, organist, designer of the organ in the Royal Festival Hall, London; John Flamsteed, first Astronomer Royal; James Fox, engineer; Peter Hamill, singer-songwriter and founding member of progressive rock band Van der Graaf Generator; Bobby Hassel, footballer; Andrew Handyside, Iron founder; Jeff Hoon MP, politician; Charlie Hudson, pigeon raiser, winner of the Rome England champion race in 1913 with the King of Rome; Chris Humphreys, botanist; William Hutton, historian, poet and bookseller; Michael Knowles, actor; Stephen Layton, choral conductor; Duncan Lloyd, musician; Kevin Lloyd, actor; Terry Lloyd, television journalist; John Loom, industrial pioneer; Edgar Langstaff, landscape painter; Stephen Marley, novelist; Florence Nightingale, pioneer of modern nursing; Jack O'Connell, actor; Colin Osborne, PDC darts player; Chris Palmer, footballer; Ted Perry, founder of Hyperion Records; Samuel Plimsoll, politician, Liberal Member of Parliament for Derby, inventor of the Plimsoll line; The Sailor's Friend; Melissa Reid, golfer; Samuel Richardson, novelist; Chris Riggott, footballer; Sir Henry Royce, co-founder of Rolls-Royce; Sir Nigel Rudd, industrialist; Max Sandry, professional cyclist and Olympic medalist; John Smith, clockmaker; Lauren Socker, star of E4's television series Misfits; Michael Socker, actor; George Sorocold, first non-military person to be described as an engineer; Herbert Spencer, philosopher; Jedidiah Strutt, industrial pioneer; Gwen Taylor, actress; Richard Turner, artist and poet; Stuart Varney, economic journalist for Fox News Channel; Damian Walters, stuntman, gymnast and free runner; Lucy Ward, folk musician and songwriter; Joan Waste, blind martyr burned to death at age 22; Alice Weldon, pacifist and anti-war campaigner; John Whitehurst, clockmaker and scientist; David Wigley, Plaid Cymru politician; Sir Henry Wilmot, Victoria Cross recipient; Joseph Wright, artist; International relations. Twin towns. Derby is twinned with Osnabrück ck in Germany. The partnership treaty between the two cities was signed on February 17, 1976. The twinning agreement with Derby was signed in 1976 in the Historical Hall of Peace in Osnabrück ck's Rathaus. Every year, Derby and Osnabrück ck each appoint an envoy who spends 12 months in the twin city. The envoy promotes the exchange of ideas between the two cities and acts as an educational and information officer to increase awareness of the twinning scheme. The envoy gives talks to local societies and schools, finds pen friends and short-term host families during work placements, works to assist groups who want to get involved in twinning by identifying and approaching possible counterparts, and plans the annual Maiweg trip. There is an annual exchange between the wind bands of John Port School, Etal, and its twin school gymnasium Mellenmal, Germany, district of Osnabrück cker land. An exchange was established in 2009 between Woodlands Community School, Alistry, and the gymnasium Angelashule in Osnabrück ck. This exchange is based on a drama project of both schools in June 2009, which contained performances in both cities with over 1,600 visitors. The exchange of envoys between two cities is very unusual. The envoy in Osnabrück ck changes every year, and Osnabrück ck also sends envoys to Derby, Angers and Lernackale. No other city in Germany participates in this exchange of envoys, and in Britain, only one other town, Wigan, receives and sends an envoy. In 2014, Derby became a sister city with the Palestinian city of Hebron, the first of its kind in the UK. List of international links: Osnabrück ck, Germany; Kapurthala, India; Haarlem, Netherlands; Fonquevillers, France; Toyota City, Japan; Chansey, People's Republic of China, Gallery. References. External links. Online Guide to Derby, Heritage, Bygone Derbyshire website, twinning link with Osnabrück ck, Derby City Council website, artsderbyshire.org.uk a Derby and Derbyshire Arts Guide, Derby School the 60s revisited, a short film shot in St Helens House in September 2012, tourist information about Derby.